Hey there, Amanda here, and welcome back to my author's journey. If you're new to this playlist, here's where I share tips and lessons from my own experience as an author to help anyone interested in pursuing writing, publishing, or the book launch process. Be sure to visit myauthor'sjourney.com to subscribe to updates and start at the beginning of the playlist for the best viewing experience as I reference previous videos as we go. In this video, I'm going to share a pretty embarrassing personal story that's unrelated to writing to illustrate potential consequences when we don't follow all of the proper steps as aspiring authors. By the end of this video, you'll have a few key reminders to help see your project through in a way that you can reach your ideal audience and be proud of the work that you've produced. All right, let's get to it. Years ago, I took a job as a receptionist at a funeral home and cemetery. I've always wanted to work in a field where I could help people, especially those who are hurting. So while I entertained the idea of going back to school for credentials in mortuary science, I thought this was a great opportunity to get my foot in the door. Since I was also working 3 other jobs to make ends meet, I was always tired, always late, and always looking for shortcuts to get ahead so the company would increase my hours. In my hallucination, I would quit the other jobs while the company reimbursed my tuition expenses, which was certainly an option, but unlikely to occur overnight. One of the new tasks I enthusiastically took on to prove I was a keeper was to learn how to use this amazing software which produced memorial videos of the departed. This video would be shown at the wake and funeral service as well as online alongside the obituary and other websites that folks use to help find service times, locations, send condolences and flowers to the family, etc. I jumped at the opportunity to train at one of the other funeral home locations to learn this software. And I was instructed to bring a stack of my own personal photos to use in the training process, where I would turn in a homework assignment to my boss that would essentially show that I'd learned the necessary skills. The training session was great, but I have to admit that a large portion of the time my mind was occupied with thoughts of how on earth I would blow my boss away with this homework assignment. As seasoned multitaskers do, I approached the task with confidence, pretty sure I could figure out the learning gaps of what I spaced out in the training along the way. Confidence, Dunning-Kruger effect, same difference when you're spread too thin, right? Just kidding, but not really. Anyway, this funeral home and cemetery was just one location in a large international corporation operating top of industry. So at the time of my training, this software was state of the art with innovative touches to help optimize both the efficiency and the user experience. With just a few clicks, hundreds of actions were put into motion through elegant web code and algorithmic genius. The platform included graphics, music, and plenty of customization options to ensure that the end production presented as thoughtful and personal, reflecting and honoring the unique life of the one who is now passed on. I was amazed at the capabilities this technology offered to the business of dying, and I was dying for a chance to catch a lucky break so I didn't have to work so hard for so little. Was this it? If so, it would take a whole lot more than simply showing competence in this job function to knock my boss's socks off. In my desperate delirium, I decided to scour Napster for the saddest, most emotive, out-of-the-box music track to add to my assignment. I picked out photos of my childhood, those timeless, relatable moments I knew that would make any Joe off the street cry in 0 to 15 seconds, no problemo. Then I remembered just a few years before I had participated in this leadership program where we focused on how we want to be remembered. And one of the activities was centered around writing our own obituary. Good, more tears, just the ticket. So I really let myself get carried away with what I considered to be my life's work. No pun intended. It was award-worthy. I mean, the stuff of genius. That promotion and acceptance speech were just around the corner. I wondered if my new office would be the one next to the parlor showroom of caskets, or upstairs with a view of the rolling landscape featuring tidy rows of granite headstones between the perfectly manicured green. Yeah, I'd probably have my choice. When I returned to work the following morning, I expected to see my boss and hear how impressed she was with my above-average abilities. I made the generic funeral home coffee as usual while I waited for her arrival, but with a joyful anticipation of great news to come. The entire day passed, so I figured an excessive amount of people died and she just needed to lend a hand. Maybe I'd see her the next day. Well, the next day came and went, and soon it was the weekend. I'd have to wait until Monday. Maybe she didn't receive my email. How odd. Well, we were the largest funeral home and cemetery in the state, so her inbox was likely overflowing. Finally, after a whole week and a half, I saw my boss's car parked outside as I arrived, and I took the back door so I could peek my head into her office on the way to my workspace. Cheerfully, I greeted her, but reeled it in immediately as to not seem overly eager. After a bit of quick small talk, I casually asked if she'd seen my email with the homework assignment and if she had any feedback for me. Looking up at me over her glasses, my boss looked somewhat annoyed and amused. Without a word spoken, I felt destroyed. Oh no, what did she have to say? In a calm yet dismissive tone, my boss informed me that in fact I had published my homework assignment, the video, the obituary, all the requisite life and death details to the organization's national website, which automatically fed the major local newspapers' online obituary sections, which all led back to Google thanks to the company's laser-precise SEO, or search engine optimization. In short, I killed myself off. The company was seen to be handling all of the arrangements for which they hadn't been paid, and I had some urgent phone calls to make to my family explaining that I, in fact, was all right. At the time, we made light of it, and that, I was the person responsible for putting the fun in funeral, but my career as a funeral director started and ended with my own. The moral of the story as it relates to writing and publishing is this. Don't overestimate yourself when you're working on and in your own projects, and don't underestimate the value of your team. Even if you're self-publishing and handling most of the heavy lifting yourself, your team might include friends, freelance editors, designers, illustrators, mentors, coaches, and beta readers. A fresh set of eyes and perspective can make or break your project. We've all sent off a poorly written email prematurely or accidentally sent a text message to the wrong person. The really wrong person. Think of your worst experience and multiply it by 1,000 when it comes to publishing. When we take a product to market, whether it's publishing or otherwise, that represents a huge investment of time and money. Avoid costly mistakes, both financially and those impacting your reputation. Just by following the proper steps, asking for help, creating a feedback loop, and slowing down before you broadcast it out into the world. Minor mistakes are part of publishing, all publishing, even when you use a traditional or professional publishing team, because we're human. And minor mistakes are forgivable. We're all willing to overlook a typo here or there. But when information is blatantly missing or the product just looks sloppy and amateur, or really anything that derails the end user's experience because they're more focused on your blunder, that's much more difficult to forget and more expensive to correct. Bringing your creation into the world is very exciting, and it's important to tap into your enthusiasm to help see the project through. But please remember, when that excitement puts the project management into a fog, which makes checking off those little details difficult to see, slow down and ask for help to ensure that you have everything you need. There's a good reason why most people don't live to read their own obituary. Don't kill off your project's potential by being trigger happy near the finish line. Thanks for being here on My Author's Journey. I'll see you soon, my friends. And in the meantime, check out my podcast, The Goal Next Door, where you get out of your head and create real connection anywhere. Bye for now.